Ani, bonjour. Sararak Indishnakas. Shebananing and Donjaba, Takaranto and Dai. Takaranto, a Mohawk word. The place in the water where the trees are standing. The place where the fish weirs are. My dog and I spend a lot of time walking. It's my favorite way to move through this city. For me, it's a meditative action that isn't about negotiating bike lanes or public transit, but a time to slow down and really try to see the world around me. Concrete sidewalks, parking lots, now covering the rivers and trails that once flowed freely. The Petun, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, the Métis, the Mississaugas all made their homes here, and many other nations expanding beyond these groups traveled through for commerce and trade for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I think of the other First Peoples' languages and the names they had for this place. I think of the ancient trails covered by the pressures of settlement. The waterways and the moderate climate of the Great Lakes made it a perfect place to fish, hunt, grow food, gather medicines and seeds for horticultural development. Rich, fertile, and abundant, Turtle Island's Mesopotamia. Many First Peoples and their goods traveled from here all the way to the Mississippi and back. Whenever I travel somewhere new, I try to find out whose land I'm on, and I ask, who are the original occupants here? So for Indigenous peoples, land acknowledgments are not only to assert our sovereignty and treaty rights of today, but it's also a way for all peoples to feel more connected to a place. Davenport might be a street now, one I walk down regularly in my neighborhood, but it's not just another thoroughfare. For me, it's an ancient portage trail that holds Indigenous knowledge. They say the animals made the first trails that led them to water, and the people followed. I imagine the deer and the moose once made this trail, followed by the people carrying their birch bark canoes, carrying their goods to trade, and bringing stories to tell. Nations from all over Turtle Island met and traveled through this land. Many languages were spoken. Alliances and decisions were made. People from different nations met and intermarried. The dish with one spoon treaty was made. Takaranto was a meeting place and land made up of sophisticated and cosmopolitan peoples and cultures that I see reflected in the city today. I wonder, is it something in the land and the water? Land acknowledgements might seem like a small and simple gesture, but like many of our ways, they are intended to have more impact and hold more meaning than the words alone. If we pride ourselves on diversity and equality, shouldn't our story include Indigenous peoples? In this era of reconciliation, we need to share the truth first. And reimagine the narrative of this land and this city together.
next song that we're going to sing was gifted to grandmother Barbara Hooper by the Four Directions, and she's given me permission to share this song with the story of how it came to her. So many years ago, after her very first powwow, she was standing on her porch and she was still hearing the beat of the drum. And she was kind of feeling a bit sad that everyone had gone home. At that point, she went into a waking dream. And in that waking dream, she saw herself as a young woman wearing full buckskin, and she was standing in front of a lodge. And suddenly, she started to hear some commotion above on a hill, and she saw the men mount horses to ride off into some kind of a battle. Immediately, she started calling to the children to gather them to safety. The next day, when she was sharing the song with her friend by the water, she heard a grandfather's voice say to her, "Wildflower, a song for all women who live in the state of nature." The next song was written by Doreen Day at the request of her grandson, Little Elk. And it was written because of some inspiration by the words from Dr. Emoto. "Water, we love you. We thank you. We respect you." As they were driving to school every morning and driving by a body of water, Doreen and her grandson would say these words. Then they would start to say them in Anishinaabe and eventually Doreen made a melody. And they've given permission to everyone to sing this song in honor of water. Nibe gisageigo gimigwe chue nimigo gijawe nimigo nibe ni mi go. Gijawe ni mi go. Ni be kisage go. Gimme which way ni mi go. Gijawe ni mi go.
Atoms Gatsuin all greetings. Thank you so much for being here, in whatever way you are. My name is Chase Everett Mcpherson, and I'm very honored to be the theme lead for Indigenous Health in the MD program within the Temerity School of Medicine, Faculty of Medicine. Thank you so much for joining us in honoring and celebrating this new space. When I think of Mio Muskiki, or good medicine, I'm filled with hope and deep respect for the patience, persistence, and deep care that's gone into the development of this space. The many people, the many types of medicine that have gone into creating this space for learners. And staff people within Women's College Hospital and hopefully beyond to learn about sacred Indigenous medicine and ways that it can support all of us in moving in the right direction. We have a long way to go, of course, though today we get to celebrate what's been happening along the way, in spite of a pandemic, no less. So in this time and space, love for us to consider what it means to welcome Indigenous learners into health science learning spaces. Medical school may be one, but there are many places where we could use more Indigenous voices and more Indigenous medicine. And in this way, I want to share with you the discomfort I have being involved in admissions in the medical school, in trying to recruit Indigenous people with the fear that they're coming into a very scary, unwelcoming place sometimes. And so I invite you to consider how we can all create more safety for Indigenous people to come forward and to be welcomed in sharing their gifts and their sacred medicines with one another and with all of us in whatever way we show up, settler or person Indigenous to Turtle Island, in whatever way. Simply acknowledging that safety is an important piece. And in order to have safety, we do all need to have humility and bring as much humble presence as possible, acknowledging that we all have work to be done and healing to be cultivated or welcomed wherever we are, however we are. And so in this moment, thinking of Mio Muskiki, good medicine, I offer deep appreciation for you for showing up, because that says a lot. And I'm filled with encouragement and deep appreciation for the healing and growth that will happen in this new space. I offer much thanks to those who have contributed to making it happen and who will contribute to it moving forward in the most right way. Kinanaskamitsin. Thank you.
Miigwech, to Chase, Dr. Mcpherson, to Kateri and Rosary for your beautiful songs, to Cindy White for your beautiful song and opening. I'm going to do a very brief tour. As I said, this space is sort of set up like a production studio right now. So it's kind of hard to imagine what it might look like. But the current room that we're in is meant to be the gathering place, the place where learners and community members and Indigenous faculty and any others who want to learn about our peoples will gather. We do have tables. We do have furniture in here, actually, during non-COVID times and when it's not a production studio. And we actually are also set up with screens because we recognize that we may be in this virtual space for quite a long time. And I think that one of the things that's really important actually about the work that we do is in the virtual era, we will be able to reach communities who are remote and communities that are far from here. So we've got two large screens in here, and in the daytime it is a beautiful, bright, and plant-filled space. And we have actually the colors are traditional colors of red and yellow and white, and there's a gray to represent rock and black in here as well. We do have a little bit of a kitchen space, a kitchenette, and I'm just going to I'm not going to do a full tour because actually the space which is going to be our office area is currently a little bit of a loading zone where we've displaced all of the furniture, but there is space in here for Indigenous faculty staff, so Kateri, Selena, Rosary, and then Chase, myself, we all will be floating in and out. And I think one of the really special things is actually that we do have a room for elders here and knowledge keepers. And again, this is a room in transition still, but you can see that this will be a closing door, and elders and knowledge keepers will be able to be in here and be meeting with students and meeting with clients and staff who want to learn more about our ways, who want to have healing. And so we will actually have, it's nothing like showing what's not here yet, but we will actually have desks and beautiful glass shelves where the medicines can be kept. So we're really excited about actually having a dedicated space for elders to be. I'm going to move back to the microphone now. And I'm just now going to, that was the whirlwind short tour of our space. I'm going to share a few thoughts about getting to this moment. Which is extremely emotional for me. As I said, I introduced myself earlier. My name is Dr. Lisa Richardson. I'm a mixed-blood Anishinaabe Kwe, and I've been working in the Faculty of Medicine for many years. I actually started in the Office of Indigenous Medical Education with my very good friend and colleague, Dr. Jason Pennington, who's a surgeon from Wendake. And I think we had always dreamed about having a space like this. And I think in the time of a pandemic, we need to actually have moments of joy. There is so much, there is sadness, there is loss, there is trauma, but we also need to uplift these moments of celebration and joy. And that's why we chose to go ahead with this event. I think that in particular for Indigenous peoples, it's been a really difficult year with the story of Joyce Echaquan and many other stories that have made it into the mainstream and have suddenly risen to the consciousness of everyone. And when I was at an event, a gathering a couple of weeks ago with 4 federal ministers in which we were all there to share ideas around how to end racism in healthcare, including Carol Dubé, the husband of Joyce Echaquan, who in a heartbreaking story was sobbing throughout the event. And one of the things that emerged from that gathering was that not only are Indigenous peoples and patients experiencing racism in healthcare, it was the stories of the providers, of the medical students, midwives, nursing students, physiotherapy students, and physicians, and the racism that they had experienced and were continuing to experience in their training. and once they got out into practice, that was also very striking about that event. And why do I tell you that story? Not only to give you context, but to explain why a space like this is so important. This is not just a physical space. The idea of having smudging in here and smelling sweetgrass and sage and hearing the drum song, which represents the heartbeat of our mothers, and hearing the songs is actually an act of decolonizing a space and an institution. It is about creating figurative space as well in these institutions, which have been so unwelcoming. It is about a place where Indigenous peoples can come and feel safe and feel at peace. But in addition to that, it's a place where they can come and feel valued and loved and respected, and where indigeneity is uplifted and celebrated, and where the strengths of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis ways of knowing, of being, of healing, not only are here to support Indigenous peoples, but inform the way forward for all of our institutions. In the same way, the medicine wheel that the elders we work with here created for COVID, about the 4 directions of health and how to think about COVID in the context of not just physical health, but mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health. And that approach, that framework that we've shared has had a huge uptake amongst people beyond our nations, because Indigenous ways are such strong medicine for our people, but for other peoples too. I'm going to pull up my notes so that I don't forget to thank anyone. It's such a significant moment because we've been working towards this for so long, and there are so many people to thank. Of course, I want to thank the incredible leadership of Women's College Hospital, the whole team, in particular Heather Mcpherson and Cynthia Whitehead, who have allowed us to create this beautiful environment. I also want to thank the many incredible leaders, including Trevor Young and Sal Spadafora, who have supported us in Temerity Faculty of Medicine. What this space represents is actually a coming together of a hospital and a faculty of medicine. It is a gathering place, not just for people, but a coming together of our institutions, which is how we must move forward. We must collaborate in order to create transformative change. And I value the incredible foresight of people like Heather Mcpherson and Trevor Young for seeing that we needed this sort of a collaboration to be able to do something as transformative as this. I also want to thank the incredible team, both at the Office of Indigenous Health, so Chase McMurrin and Rosary Spence, and also the incredible team here at the Center for Wise Practices. Selena Mills, who's running around and said she didn't want to be on camera today because she's actually the production manager and looks really cool. She calls herself a hot mess though, but is really running a good show here. And Kateri Gauthier, who we're so grateful to have with us. The guidance of the elders, Bannaconda Kennedy Kishbel and Diane Longboat. We would not have ever imagined that we would be in this place, I don't think. And your guidance has been what's allowed us to be here. And I'm just, of course, wanting to thank Lindsay Sarrazin and his amazing team for the work. And at the heart of this work are our learners, all of you, Indigenous students, Indigenous residents, Indigenous graduate students, Indigenous pre-medical students, nursing students, physician assistant students, OS and OT, across our faculty. We are here for you. This is a space for you. You are our guiding light, and our communities and our incredible community partners who have really also guided us and supported us and helped us get to this place. Miigwech, thank you. I'd like to now introduce Rosary, because she entered our faculty about 4 weeks ago in the midst of COVID, and we couldn't do a proper introduction. She's already introduced herself, but we just wanted her to say a few words.
I guess in preparation for this beautiful evening and event, I wanted to think about where I come from and what brought me here to this place. And so I was born way up north on a small little community called Fort Albany First Nation. And it's a fly-in remote community, and maybe 1,500 people or less that live there currently. And I spent a lot of time growing up with my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, Frederick and Fabiola Spence. And we spent a lot of time on the land, and I learned from them values of taking care of your family and living a good life, and praying, living off the land, all these wonderful things. But I also did spend some time in the foster care system for about 14 years of my life. And in and out of care, I was probably in about 30 different foster homes, group homes, and I was very displaced at times. But what I do cherish the most is the memories that I have with my maternal grandparents. And in the times where I was displaced and in unhealthy situations, I was, around abuse and addictions, and I saw a lot of alcohol abuse growing up, and I was abused in many different ways. So it took me a long time, I guess, to find my way. And I became a mother at a very young age. I was 15 when my daughter came to this world to live with me, and she's now an adult who's 21 and amazing, and I feel like I did a pretty decent job with her. And she taught me a lot. I had to grow up really fast with her, and at that time I knew that I had to do something. So I finished school. I went to school for social work, and then I started working in the social work field when my daughter was about 7 years old. And I think in that field is when I started to realize that I really love helping people, and I really love teaching people, and I really love being around people and offering any kind of guidance or knowledge that I might have or might have picked up along the way amongst the various different teachers that I've met. And it brings me, I feel like that's my purpose, because it brings me so much happiness, and it really fills my life with joy to be a helper. So with my role at the Office of Indigenous Health, that's how I feel, that's how I look at myself, as a helper. And I have, because we work virtually, I have my little office set up in my dining room, and actually it's like a little kitchen area, and I have my little signage there that says, "You are a helper." And that's my reminder to myself of the work that I do and the people that I communicate with on a daily basis, and the learners that I can't wait to start to get to know and familiarize myself with, and with all the different faculty members that I've had a chance to meet with virtually. That's how I look at myself. I'm a helper. And with this program that we're developing, I'm really hoping that, learners will feel comfortable with coming to me with whatever it is that they might need. If they need medicine, if they need to speak to an elder, if they need connections in the community for anything, housing, whatever it could be, I want to be there to help you. And I really take my role seriously, and I've been doing this for such a long time that I'm very comfortable, and I'm very happy and humbled to be working with you. Thank you so much.
Miigwech, Rosary, we're just so grateful to have you with us. And now we're going to hear from the CEO of Women's College Hospital, Heather Mcpherson, who, as I said, has just been a huge champion for us, and we're so grateful for everything that you've done, Heather.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be a part of this significant occasion as we come together to celebrate the opening of the Gathering Place with the Centre for Wise Practices in Indigenous Health in the University of Toronto's Office of Indigenous Health. I know that today's opening of this beautiful space is a result of a lot of hard work and close community partnerships. I want to acknowledge the incredible work of Dr. Lisa Richardson and the Centre for Wise Practices in Indigenous Health team, as well as the Decision-Making Council, Diane Longboat, and Banaconda Kennedy Kish. And of course, Dr. Trevor Young and our partners at Temerty Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto. Your collective leadership and passion in bringing the Gathering Place to life is inspiring. Congratulations to everyone involved. As part of Women's College Hospital's vision of building a healthier and more equitable world, we are committed to implementing wise practices for reconciliation and ensuring that our hospital is a safe space for our community of Indigenous patients, staff, physicians, faculty, and learners. By providing a dedicated area to access traditional medicines, engage in ceremonial practices with elders, knowledge keepers, and educators, as well as host community-centered activities, we are working to continue to building the trust and relationships so crucial to reconciliatory transformation within our organization and beyond. I look forward to watching the Gathering Place grow and flourish as a place for our First Nations, Inuit, and Métis community members across our organizations to come together to collaborate and to continue to engage in transformative action that improves the health and well-being of Indigenous peoples. Once again, congratulations to everyone, and I will now turn it over to Dr. Trevor Young to say a few words. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's really wonderful to be here in this beautiful space, which smells so amazing right now. And it's been wonderful to hear these wonderful songs and hear these moving stories and to know that this is the beginning of a dream for us and our commitment to doing better. It's wonderful to join with friends and with colleagues to celebrate the new Gathering Place. It will be an invaluable support for our Indigenous learners, faculty, staff, and our community. It's a great location. It's very close to the university, within a couple of minutes walk. So we know that it will be very active and used for many things, both educational and many community-centered activities. And we've heard from Heather and others the many things that we need to do here together. I'm really grateful for the leadership of the members of our Indigenous communities for helping us know what to do and to make this happen. And it's their vision, which we are trying to realize here today. I really do take pride in this amazing partnership with Women's College Hospital, with the Temerty Faculty of Medicine. It really is a wonderful way for us to work together and bring resources and our strength and our many voices together. I know it's a small step in our commitment to reconciliation with Indigenous nations in Canada. We have a lot of work to do, but I do believe it's an important one. Ensuring we have a safe space for Indigenous practices is essential, and I believe is very long overdue. So today, as Lisa said, it's a moment to celebrate in a time which is really hard for so many people right now. It's wonderful to do that and to recommit ourselves to important work. So thank you for all the people that have made this happen. I particularly want to thank Lisa and Chase at the Faculty of Medicine, as well as Heather here at Women's College. Thank you all so much. Miigwech.
On this beautiful Tuesday evening, and for allowing us to share this beautiful space with you and some wonderful and beautiful words. Everybody here is so inspiring, and I'm very thankful to be working alongside these amazing and beautiful spirits. And we're going to end our ceremony, our virtual ceremony, with a song. And this is a song that a very dear friend of mine, and who is also the grandmother of my children, her name is Marie Godet. She composed this quite a few years ago, and it's a traveling song, so it's a good way to send people off and close an event in a good way.